President Vladimir Zelensky has appointed his chief of staff, Andrii Yermak, to spearhead the Ukrainian delegation for upcoming high-stakes peace negotiations in Switzerland. This diplomatic reshuffle arrives as the United States increased pressure on Kyiv to accept a 28-point peace framework initiated by President Donald Trump. United States Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll recently traveled to Kyiv to present the plan, which reportedly requires Ukraine to cede Crimea and the Donbas region to Russia and reduce its military personnel to 600,000. The proposal also demands that Ukraine abandons its aspirations to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Washington has set a deadline of November 27th for the Ukrainian government to agree to these terms, leading to intense discussions about the future of the conflict. Prior to this announcement, President Zelensky met with Lithuanian Minister of Defense Robertas Kaunas, who pledged continued support and discussed joint production capabilities, solidifying support from the Baltic region. Robertas Kaunas reaffirmed unwavering support for Ukraine throughout the conflict. During their discussion, Zelensky outlined current diplomatic challenges and potential pathways to ending the war, while Kaunas emphasized Lithuania's commitment to providing assistance within clearly defined parameters. Ukraine's military restructuring efforts have added another layer of complexity to the already tense situation. Kyiv has initiated plans to disband the International Corps, a force that once attracted numerous foreign volunteers to fight against Russian invasion. This dissolution has caused concern among international fighters about their future status and the symbolic significance of losing this multinational unit. Simultaneously, Ukraine continues to grapple with internal political pressures as the November 27th deadline approaches, forcing Zelensky to balance domestic expectations against international demands. The combinations of battlefield setback, diplomatic pressures, and internal military reorganization has created what observers describe as one of Ukraine's most challenging periods since the full-scale invasion began, with leadership facing difficult choice about national sovereignty versus maintaining crucial international partnership. Tensions within Ukraine military and political establishment have intensified following a frontline soldier's public warning against accepting the U.S.-drafted peace agreement. The soldier, who's now deleted social media posts, claimed he faced pressure to remain silent, warned Zelensky would face serious consequences if he signed the 28-point plan backed by President Trump. This internal dissent emerged as U.S. officials reportedly pressured Kyiv toward concessions, asserting Ukraine has exhausted its option. The situation became further complicated by allegations involving Secretary of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Counsel Rustem Umerov, who was accused by senior U.S. officials of removing a clause mandating international audits of aid to Ukraine and replacing it with a controversial provision for full amnesty for wartime action. The proposed 28-point U.S. peace plan has triggered significant backlash from Ukraine's European allies. At the G20 summit in South Africa, leaders from Germany, France, Canada, and Japan collectively pushed back against the proposal. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President Emmanuel Macron argued that any peace process must include European participation and cannot be decided solely by Washington and Moscow. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President Emmanuel Macron pushed back strongly against the notion that Washington could unilaterally determine Ukraine's future. Merz insisted Europe must participate in any peace process and warned against negotiating over Ukraine's head, while Macron argued the proposal requires broad consultation across European capitals and Kyiv itself. European officials have raised objections to several points, including the proposed reduction of Ukraine's military and the territorial concessions, with the EU warning that a Ukrainian defeat would have severe repercussions for the entire continent. Chancellor Merz emphasized the failure of previous security assurance like the Budapest Memorandum and insisted that reliable guarantees must be built into any new deal. European officials are calling for amendments to the plans, specifically rejecting territorial division and army reductions. The German leader stressed that a decision made without Ukrainian consent would undermine long-term stability across the continent, while Canadian and Japanese representatives also voiced the need for additional work on the proposal. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held what was described as a constructive call with President Trump, agreeing their teams would collaborate on refining the peace plan during upcoming Geneva talks, though European officials reportedly demand at least 4 major amendments to the current draft. Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed the unfolding diplomatic situations by confirming that Moscow had received the updated peace plan prior to the upcoming deadline. Putin confirming receipts of the updated peace proposal and characterizing Kyiv's rejection as stemming from a fundamental misunderstanding of battlefield realities. He also countered Ukrainian reports regarding the battlefield, asserting that cities like Kupiansk were already under full Russian control despite denials from Kyiv. The Kremlin has warned Zelensky to enter negotiations immediately or face continued territorial loss, pointing to recent advances in Kharkiv and Kupiansk as evidence of shifting military momentum. Putin warned that further delays in negotiations would result in additional territorial loss for Ukraine as Russian forces continued their offensive operations across the Eastern Front. Putin emphasized that partners from the Global South, including China, India, and Brazil, supported the proposed terms, while arguing that Ukraine and its European allies remain trapped in illusions about achieving strategic victory over Russian force. This position creates a complex diplomatic landscape as Switzerland prepares to host negotiations where Ukrainian, American, and European officials will attempt to reconcile their significantly different visions for ending the conflict. The United Kingdom remains involved in the complex diplomatic landscape as Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a constructive phone call with President Trump to discuss the proposal. While they agreed to coordinate teams in Geneva, the plan faces unexpected political shock in London. Reform's UK leader Nigel Farage publicly broke ranks to support President Zelensky, calling the American deal unacceptable and urging Ukraine not to capitulate. Meanwhile, negotiations between the United Kingdom and the European Union regarding the Safe Defense Program have stalled over financial disagreement and access rights. The breakdown in defense cooperation talks adds another layer of complexity as Western allies struggle to present a unified front against the ongoing war while attempting to navigate the new American foreign policy directions. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. With European leaders like Chancellor Merz and President Macron openly rejecting Washington's peace frameworks and demanding a seat at the table, do you think the European Union has the military and political strength to guarantee Ukraine's security independently? Or is their resistance to the American proposal ultimately futile without full United States backing in the face of Russian advances, and why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate your support. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Like the video, share this video with friends and family, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.